to LinkedIn anyway. So I see StreamYard's so good.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we're live.
Amazing.
So yeah, we're live. Good to if you are joining us, it's amazing to have you with us. We're going to be doing a bit of a watch party for the OpenAI DevDay. Just the keynote. So hopefully I mean, we don't know how it's going to really run yet because they haven't given much away. But hopefully it's going to start with a keynote. I'm guessing from Sam Altman about some of the new developments. And then I think if you're live there in person, it's going to go into, I think they're doing workshops with developers and things like that, but we'll stick around for the keynote and then maybe try and summarize it afterwards. But yeah, as you can probably tell, I'm joined by Melissa McBride. Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. It's hard to catch up with you, so I'll take any chance I can get. It's a
yeah,
live
just come and catch up while we've got people watching.
Right. That's right.
But yeah, we'll keep an eye on the screen. So as you can see, just next to us, we've got the OpenAI feed. So we'll be to see when it goes live, and then we can pump up the volume. I think the idea is going to be that we'll kind of just jump in every now and then, give our feedback. We'll try not to disrupt it too much because people will want to watch it. But we'll then at the end we can have a chat through. So I know, Melissa, there's been some rumors coming out about what's coming from OpenAI in terms of ChatGPT. What kind of piqued your interest? What are you excited about?
Yeah, I think the last 30 minutes on the feeds, right, have been really interesting. I think the key one that's popped into my mind is, the ability to create chatbots and to make that process so much easier, because it's what we hear a lot of people in education are thinking about in terms of its ability to have a much more one-to-one level of support for young people. But it's also been the piece that's required the most amount of tech knowledge, right, to build them. So whether you're using an integration or you're doing it yourself. So I think it's going to be a really interesting space to see what they announce, and then really to kind of discuss the impact and like what opportunities does this open up for educators, and actually for those kids that just don't have access, right? So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I read somewhere it's been touted as the new iPhone launch, which I'm not entirely sure it's going to be as big as that, but it'll be nice to see what's coming. And I know if you've got ChatGPT, you'll know there's constant updates at the moment. I don't know about you, but I always seem to be last on their list in terms of when the rollout happens.
You're the biggest to celebrate them. So, you rolled out a few weeks ago, like, it was you speaking to them live, I thought.
Yeah.
And did you run that through? When you started to get the feed, did you ask it before you joined the stream? Did you ask it for some insight?
Yeah. So yeah, I did. But in terms of, in terms of the update, I know they do a slow, a slow release, don't they? So that some people get it like a few weeks before others, but I always seem to be at the back of the queue.
Oh, I don't feel so bad then. I'm in the non-existent queue, so if you're at the back, I'm okay.
If you're watching, please do put your comments or questions in, whatever you're watching on. If you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, please do contribute, and we'll put them up on the screen if you've got any questions, comments as we're going through. Yeah, so I think that ability to create chatbots, I think if that can happen, I think that's going to be really, really interesting. I think I've heard it rumored being called the magic maker. I don't know. That word magic seems to be overused by a lot of companies using AI at the moment. It's like people don't want to say the word AI, so they want to. A lot of them are using magic. But yeah, I think that would be really cool. I think it'll be interesting to see how you can do that because there's also rumors of them creating a system where you can create a team and share prompts within a team. I think that might be coming today. And I wonder if the chatbots are going to be just internal to teams or enterprise users. Be interesting to see. Although I have heard a rumor that you might be able to create chatbots and then put them on a marketplace. That could be really interesting.
Oh, wow. I mean, I haven't actually thought about that, right? But again, how you can create these AI-driven entities, right? Who can enable you and to, if you are creative enough, to make them accessible.
Yeah.
You just watch what happens, right? And I think there's probably, and hopefully young people on here, because I was having a conversation the other day, not about AI, but about, what we see on Roblox, so different platform, and like young people harnessing that creative power. And I think that's one of the beauties about OpenAI, that it is accessible and you can create, and now you can monetize that. So that will be really interesting to see all these kind of competing chatbots emerging as a new market entry, which we've not really seen before, right? Like there's a lot of players like Khan Academy and Cognigo who have had access in making them, but to see that done at scale, I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to see, because I suppose this is it's a dev day, so it's for the developers, and I think that's what I think OpenAI kind of primarily see themselves as a tool for developers, isn't it? So that they can put it into their own tools and see what creators do with it. So I'm excited to see if this is going to kind of kickstart and launch that kind of next wave of educational tools as well, and new functionality.
I think the thing too is, are we going to see a churn of vaporware, right? A churn of tools that have emerged, specific, not just ed tech, but I think it's a big market for it, where it's a little bit like the emperor's new clothes, layers on top of OpenAI with a little bit of slick UI UX that actually don't amount to anything and don't really solve problems. And whether that will churn, unfortunately, for some of those founders, but again, open up new opportunities for innovation and new ways. I think Sam must get a real kick out of seeing all these incredible things that are built off of his platform, and to see what new things emerge. Yeah.
And I think any company working in this space has got to be so agile, haven't they? They've got to be continuing to develop, and I think that's only good for education. I like that kind of that dichotomy between the kind of companies like people normally refer to as like a Microsoft style company or an Apple style company, where it's, do you wait until the technology is perfect and then launch? Kind of like what Apple do. Apple are just kind of, I say, just about to launch their VR headset. They're still moving slowly towards it, even though they've announced it. And Apple like to get things right before they launch. Microsoft launch and then iterate, update. And I think I really admire all those companies who've just launched, and kind of, and I know people talk about, well, that's just a skin on top of ChatGPT, in a kind of a way that is a bit like, it kind of put some of these tools down as, oh, it's just a skin on ChatGPT. But I think I admire any company who have just jumped in there, done that, and then are going to be willing to iterate on it as well and develop it as the technology develops. So yeah, I'm excited to see what these educational entrepreneurs are going to do with their tools with this.
Right. I think if we can inspire impact in the classroom at scale, and find new ways of solving, the huge amount of challenges that obviously exist for our educators, for students, for families, and for leaders, then, I'm all for it, because this is a whole new paradigm in education. I think people are really starting to wake up to it, but, it's going to take iterations at scale, and pace, I think, in terms of figuring out how we navigate, this new and profound, paradigm that we find ourselves in here within the sector. But I don't know about you, I've never been so excited, by all of the incredible and crazy things that we see happening in education, and the conversation, that's going around with it, and actually people rolling up their sleeves and sharing, their successes, sharing their new ways of working and things that they're trialing. And that's rare. Like, I haven't seen that before. And you've been in education a long time. So
yeah, I think
I don't know if we compete, but I mean, we've been in it long enough.
Yeah, I just think there's a real excitement. Oh, I think we're on the countdown, actually. Great to have you all join us. We've got people from the Netherlands, from New Mexico, from the UK, around the world. Thank you for joining us. And here we go.
Thank you for joining us today. Please welcome to the stage Sam Altman.
I'm excited.
I know.
Good morning. Welcome to our first ever OpenAI DevDay. We're thrilled that you're here, and this energy is awesome.
I can feel it. I don't know if I'm nervous for him.
And welcome to San Francisco. San Francisco has been our home since day one. The city is important to us and to the tech industry in general. We're looking forward to continuing to grow here. So we've got some great stuff to announce today. But first, I'd like to take a minute to talk about some of the stuff that we've done over the past year. About a year ago, November 30th, we shipped ChatGPT as a low-key research preview, and that went pretty well. In March, we followed that up with the launch of GPT-4, still the most capable model out in the world. And in the last few months, we launched voice and vision capabilities so that ChatGPT can now see, hear, and speak. And more recently, there's a lot, you don't have to clap each time. And more recently, we launched DALL-E 3, the world's most advanced image model. You can use it, of course, inside of ChatGPT. For our enterprise customers, we launched ChatGPT Enterprise, which offers enterprise-grade security and privacy, higher speed GPT-4 access, longer context windows, a lot more. Today, we've got about 2 million developers building on our API for a wide variety of use cases, doing amazing stuff. Over 92% of Fortune 500 companies building on our products. And we have about 100 million weekly active users now on ChatGPT. And what's incredible on that is we got there entirely through word of mouth. People just find it useful and tell their friends. OpenAI is the most advanced and the most widely used AI platform in the world now. But numbers never tell the whole picture on something like this. What's really important is how people use the products, how people are using AI. And so I'd like to show you a quick video.
I actually wanted to write something to my dad in Tagalog. I want a non-romantic way to tell my parent that I love him. And I also want to tell him that he can rely on me, but in a way that still has the respect of like a child to parent relationship that you should have in Filipino culture and in Tagalog grammar. When it's translated into Tagalog, I love you very deeply, and I will be with you no matter where the path leads.
I see some of the possibility. I was like, whoa, sometimes I'm not sure about some stuff. And I feel like asking ChatGPT, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. So it kind of give it a more confidence.
The first thing that just blew my mind was it levels with you. Like, that's something that
Emotional,
a lot of
right,
people
Dan?
struggle to do. It
I know.
opened my mind
I love
to
that
just
accessibility element.
what every creative could do if they
Some
just had
amazing
a
conversations
person
going on in
helping them out
education
who
around.
listens.
Yeah.
So
Make
this
it
is
more
to
accessible
represent
with this
sibling
technology.
hemoglobin.
And you built that with ChatGPT?
ChatGPT built it with me.
I started using it for daily activities like, hey, here's a picture of my fridge. Can you tell me what I'm missing? Because I'm going grocery shopping and I really need to do recipes that are following my vegan diet.
As soon as we got access to Code Interpreter, I was like, wow, this thing is awesome. It could build spreadsheets, it could do anything.
I discovered Chatty about 3 months ago on my 100th birthday.
Wow.
Chatty is very friendly, very patient, very knowledgeable, and very quick. It's been a wonderful thing.
I'm a 4.0 student, but I also have 4 children. When I started using ChatGPT, I realized I could ask ChatGPT that question, and not only does it give me an answer, but it gives me an explanation. Didn't need tutoring as much. It gave me a life back. It gave me time for my family and time for me.
I have chronic nerve pain on my whole left half of my body. I have nerve damage. I had like a spine, brain surgery. And so I have like limited use of my left hand. Now you can just have like the integration of voice input. And then the newest one where you can have the back and forth dialogue. That's just like maximum best interface for me. It's here.
Wow. Love the human story, right?
That's cool, yeah. I like that, how he started with that.
Yeah.
So we love hearing the stories of how people are using the technology. It's really why we do all of this. Okay, so now on to the new stuff, and we have got a lot. First, we're going to talk about a bunch of improvements we've made, and then we'll talk about where we're headed next. Over the last year, we spent a lot of time talking to developers around the world. We've heard a lot of your feedback, It's really informed what we have to show you today. Today, we are launching a new model, GPT-4 Turbo. GPT-4 Turbo will address many of the things that you all have asked for. So let's go through what's new. We've got 6 major things to talk about for this part.
Developers
Number
use
1,
this,
context length. A lot of people have tasks that require a much longer context length. GPT-4 supported up to 8K, and in some cases up to 32K context length. But we know that isn't enough for many of you and what you want to do. GPT-4 Turbo supports up to 128,000 tokens of context. That's 300 pages of a standard book, 16 times longer than our 8K context. And in addition to longer context length, you'll notice that the model is much more accurate over a long context. Number 2, more control. We've heard loud and clear that developers need more control over the model's responses and outputs. So we've addressed that in a number of ways. We have a new feature called JSON mode, which ensures that the model will respond with valid JSON. This has been a huge developer request. It'll make calling APIs much easier. The model is also much better at function calling. You can now call many functions at once. And it'll do better at following instructions in general. We're also introducing a new feature called reproducible outputs. You can pass a seed parameter, and it'll make the model return consistent outputs. This, of course, gives you a higher degree of control over model behavior. This rolls out in beta today. And in the coming weeks, we'll roll out a feature to let you view log probs in the API. All right, number 3, better world knowledge. You want these models to be able to access better knowledge about the world. So do we. So we're launching retrieval in the platform. You can bring knowledge from outside documents or databases into whatever you're building. We're also updating the knowledge cutoff. We are just as annoyed as all of you, probably more, that GPT-4's knowledge about the world ended in 2021. We will try to never let it get that out of date again. GPT-4 Turbo has knowledge about the world up to April of 2023, and we will continue to improve that over time. Number 4, new modalities. Surprising no one, DALL-E 3, GPT-4 Turbo with vision, and the new text-to-speech model are all going into the API today. We have a handful of customers that have just started using DALL-E 3 to programmatically generate images and designs. Today, Coke is launching a campaign that lets its customers generate Diwali cards using DALL-E 3. And of course, our safety systems help developers protect their applications against misuse. Those tools are available in the API. GPT-4 Turbo can now accept images as inputs via the API, can generate captions, classifications, and analysis.
I think it's probably worth saying, because there's a lot of this technical language, especially if you're not a developer. So this is a developers conference. So if some of this is going over your head, that's cool. But when he's talking about the API, he's talking about how third-party companies can use GPT within their products. So you give the example of Coke there. So it means that some of the image generation, the vision and all of that that's been accessible through ChatGPT-4 recently is going to be accessible on third-party apps as well.
Led to the creation of the graphophone, which etches sounds onto wax, making voices whisper through time.
This is much more natural than anything else we've heard out there. Voice can make apps more natural to interact with and more accessible. It also unlocks a lot of use cases like language learning and voice assistance. Speaking of new modalities, we're also releasing the next version of our open source speech recognition model, Whisper v3 today, and it'll be coming soon to the API. It features improved performance across many languages, and we think you're really going to like it. Okay, number 5, customization. Fine-tuning has been working really well for GPT 3.5 since we launched it a few months ago. Starting today, we're going to expand that to the 16K version of the model. Also starting today, we're inviting active fine-tuning users to apply for the GPT-4 fine-tuning experimental access program. The fine-tuning API is great for adapting our models to achieve better performance in a wide variety of applications with a relatively small amount of data. But you may want a model to learn a completely new knowledge domain or to use a lot of proprietary data. So today we're launching a new program called Custom Models. With custom models, our researchers will work closely with a company to help them make a great custom model, especially for them and their use case using our tools. This includes modifying every step of the model training process, doing additional domain-specific pre-training, a custom RL post-training process tailored for a specific domain, and whatever else. We won't be able to do this with many companies to start. It'll take a lot of work, and in the interest of expectations, at least initially, it won't be cheap. But if you're excited to push things as far as they can currently go, please get in touch with us, and we think we can do something pretty great. Okay, and then number 6, higher rate limits. We're doubling the tokens per minute for all of our established GPT-4 customers so that it's easier to do more. And you'll be able to request changes to further rate limits and quotas directly in your API account settings. In addition to these rate limits, it's important to do everything we can do to make you successful building on our platform. So we're introducing Copyright Shield. Copyright Shield means that we will step in and defend our customers and pay the costs incurred if you face legal claims around copyright infringement. And this applies both to ChatGPT Enterprise and the API. And let me be clear, this is a good time to remind people, we do not train on data from the API or ChatGPT Enterprise ever. All right. There's actually one more developer request that's been even bigger than all of these. And so I'd like to talk about that now. And that's pricing. GPT-4 Turbo is the industry-leading model. It delivers a lot of improvements that we just covered, and it's a smarter model than GPT-4. We've heard from developers that there are a lot of things that they want to build, but GPT-4 just costs too much. They've told us that if we could decrease the cost by 20, 25%, that would be great, a huge leap forward. I'm super excited to announce that we worked really hard on this, and GPT-4 Turbo, a better model, is considerably cheaper than GPT-4 by a factor of 3x for prompt tokens and 2x for completion tokens starting today. And 3 cents per 1,000 completion tokens. For most customers, that will lead to a blended rate more than 2.75 times cheaper to use for GPT-4 Turbo than GPT-4. We worked super hard to make this happen. We hope you're as excited about it as we are.
I think there's a large barrier for some companies was the price, wasn't it? So this is going to be good news, and hopefully we'll see more innovation.
We know that speed is important too. Soon, you will notice GPT-4 Turbo becoming a lot faster. The cost of GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K. Also, input tokens are 3x less, and output tokens are 2x less, which means that GPT 3.5 16K is now cheaper than the previous GPT 3.5 4K model. Running a fine-tuned GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K version is also cheaper than the old fine-tuned 4K version. Okay, so we just covered a lot about the model itself. We hope that these changes address your feedback. We're really excited to bring all of these improvements to everybody now. In all of this, we're lucky to have a partner who is instrumental in making it happen. So I'd like to bring on a special guest, Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Satya, thanks so much for coming here.
It's fantastic to be here. And Sam, congrats. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Turbo and everything else that you have coming. It's been just fantastic partnering with you guys.
2 questions. Won't take too much of your time. How is Microsoft thinking about the partnership currently?
Look, first, we love you guys. No, look, it's been fantastic for us. In fact, I remember the first time I think you reached out and said, "Hey, do you have some Azure credits?" We've come a long way from there.
Thank you for those. Yeah. That was great.
you guys have built something magical. I mean, quite frankly, there are two things for us when it comes to the partnership. The first is these workloads, and even when I was listening backstage to how you're describing what's coming, even it's just so different and new. I've been in this infrastructure business for 3 decades.
No one has ever seen infrastructure like this.
And the workload, the pattern of the workload, these training jobs are so synchronous and so large and so data parallel. And so the first thing that we have been doing is building in partnership with you the system, all the way from thinking from power to the DC to the rack to the accelerators to the network, and just really the shape of Azure is drastically changed and is changing rapidly in support of these models that you're building. And so our job number one is to build the best system so that you can build the best models and then make that all available to developers. And so the other thing is we ourselves are a developer. So we're building products. In fact, my own conviction of this entire generation of foundation models completely changed the first time I saw GitHub Copilot on GPT. And so we want to build our Copilot, GitHub Copilot, all as developers on top of OpenAI APIs. And so we are very, very committed to that. And what does that mean to developers? Look, I always think of Microsoft as a platform company, a developer company, and a partner company. And so we want to make, for example, we want to make GitHub available, GitHub Copilot available as the enterprise edition available to all the attendees here so that they can try it out.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we're very excited about that. And you can count on us to build the best infrastructure in Azure with your API support and bring it to all of you. And then even things like the Azure Marketplace. So for developers who are building products out here to get to market rapidly. So that's sort of really our intent here.
Great. And how do you think about the future? Future of the partnership or future of AI or whatever?
Yeah, there.
Anything you want.
That's, there are couple of things for me that I think are going to be very, very key for us, right? One is I just described how the systems that are needed as you aggressively push forward on your roadmap requires us to be on the top of our game. And we intend fully to commit ourselves deeply to making sure you all, as builders of these foundation models, have not only the best systems for training and inference, but the most compute so that you can keep pushing forward on the frontiers, because I think that's the way we're going to make progress. The second thing I think both of us care about, in fact, quite frankly, the thing that excited both sides to come together is your mission and our mission. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And to me, ultimately, AI is only going to be useful if it truly does empower, right? I mean, I saw the video you played early. I mean, that was fantastic to see hear those voices describe what AI meant for them and what they were able to achieve. So ultimately, it's about being able to get the benefits of AI broadly disseminated to everyone, I think is going to be the goal for us. And then the last thing is, of course, we're very grounded in the fact that safety matters, and safety is not something that you'd care about later, but it's something we do shift left on, and we're very, very focused on that with you all.
Great. Well, I think we have the best partnership in tech. I'm excited for us to build AGI together.
No, I'm really excited. Have a fantastic
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
See ya. Okay, so we have shared a lot of great updates for developers already, and we got a lot more to come. But even though this is a developer conference, we can't resist making some improvements to ChatGPT. So a small one, ChatGPT now uses GPT-4 Turbo with all the latest improvements, including the latest knowledge cutoff, which will continue to update. That's all live today. It can now browse the web when it needs to, write and run code, analyze data, take and generate images, and much more. And we heard your feedback, that model picker, extremely annoying. That is gone starting today. You will not have to click around the drop-down menu. All of this will just work together. ChatGPT, yeah. ChatGPT will just know what to use and when you need it. But that's not the main thing. And neither was price, actually, the main developer request. There was one that was even bigger than that. And I want to talk about where we're headed, and the main thing we're here to talk about today. So we believe that if you give people better tools, they will do amazing things. We know that people want AI that is smarter, more personal, more customizable, can do more on your behalf. Eventually, You'll just ask the computer for what you need, and it'll do all of these tasks for you. These capabilities are often talked in the AI field about as agents. The upsides of this are going to be tremendous. At OpenAI, we really believe that gradual iterative deployment is the best way to address the safety issues, the safety challenges with AI. We think it's especially important to move carefully towards this future of agents. It's going to require a lot of technical work and a lot of thoughtful consideration by society. So today, we're taking our first small step that moves us towards this future. We're thrilled to introduce GPTs. GPTs are tailored versions of ChatGPT for a specific purpose. You can build a GPT, a customized version of ChatGPT for almost anything, with instructions, expanded knowledge, and actions, and then you can publish it for others to use. And because they combine instructions, expanded knowledge, and actions, they can be more helpful to you. They can work better in many contexts, and they can give you better control. They'll make it easier for you to accomplish all sorts of tasks or just have more fun, and you'll be able to use them right within ChatGPT. You can, in effect, program a GPT with language just by talking to it. It's easy to customize the behavior so that it fits what you want. This makes building them very accessible, and it gives agency to everyone. So we're going to show you what GPTs are, how to use them, how to build them, and then we're going to talk about how they'll be distributed and discovered. And then after that, for developers, we're going to show you how to build these agent-like experiences into your own apps. So first, let's look at a few examples. Our partners at code.org.
This is why we're all here.
In schools. They've got a curriculum that is used by tens of millions of students worldwide. Code.org crafted Lesson Planner GPT to help teachers provide a more engaging experience for middle schoolers. If a teacher asks it to explain for loops in a creative way, it does just that. In this case, it'll do it in terms of a video game character, repeatedly picking up coins. Super easy to understand for an 8th grader. As you can see, this GPT brings together Code.org's extensive curriculum and expertise and lets teachers adapt it to their needs quickly and easily. Next, Canva has built a GPT that lets you start designing by describing what you want in natural language. If you say, make a poster for a Dev Day reception this evening, and you give it some details, it'll generate a few options to start with by hitting Canva's APIs. Now, this concept may be familiar to some of you. We've evolved our plugins to be custom actions for GPTs. You can keep chatting with this to see different iterations, and when you see one you like, you can click through to Canva for the full design experience. So now, we'd like to show you a GPT live. Zapier has built a GPT that lets you perform actions across 6,000 applications to unlock all kinds of integration possibilities. I'd like to introduce Jessica, one of our solutions architects, who is going to drive this demo. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jessica Shea.
Say that again, Melissa.
Well, because Canva's free for education, isn't it? So
Yeah, exactly.
Run and get it before they change.
So let's get started. So to start, where your GPT will live is on this upper left corner. I'm going to start with clicking on the Zapier AI actions. And I'll get calendar for today. So it's quite a day. I've already used this before, so it's actually already connected to my calendar. To start, I can ask, what's on my schedule for today?
God damn, this is good for
GPTs
you.
with security in mind. So before it performs any action or share data, it will ask for your permission. So right here, I'm going to say aloud. So GPT is designed to take in your instructions, make the decision on which capability to call to perform that action, and then execute that for you. So you can see right here, it's already connected to my calendar. It pulls into my information. And then I've also prompted it to identify conflicts on my calendar. So you can see right here, it actually was able to identify that. So it looks like I have something coming up. So what if I want to let Sam know that I have to leave early? So right here, I say, let Sam know I gotta go, chasing GPUs. So with that, I'm going to swap to.
I feel like they need a full screen view here, just because we can't really see what's happening with the text
No,
coming.
exactly.
Sam, did you get that?
I did.
Awesome. So this is only a glimpse of what is possible, and I cannot wait to see what you all will build. Thank you, and back to you, Sam.
Could you start the next podcast, YouTube, TikTok, and how to do this?
Thank you, Jessica. So those are 3 great examples. In addition to these, there are many more kinds of GPTs that people are creating, and many, many more that will be created soon. We know that many people who want to build a GPT don't know how to code. We've made it so that you can program the GPT just by having a conversation.
Oh, wow.
We believe that natural language is going to be a big part of how people use computers in the future, and we think this is an interesting early example. So I'd like to show you how to build one. All right, so I want to create a GPT that helps give founders and developers advice when starting new projects. I'm going to go to create a GPT here, and this drops me into the GPT builder. I worked with founders for years at YC, and still, whenever I meet developers, the questions I get are always about how do I, think about a business idea? Can you give me some advice? I'm going to see if I can build a GPT to help with that. So to start, GPT Builder asks me what I want to make. And I'm going to say, I want to help startup founders think through their business ideas and get advice. After the founder has gotten some advice, grill them on why they are not growing faster. All right, so to start off, I just tell the GPT a little bit about what I want here. And it's going to go off and start thinking about that. And it's going to write some detailed instructions for the GPT. It's also going to, let's see, ask me about a name. How do I feel about Startup Mentor? That's fine. That's good. So if I didn't like the name, of course, I could call it something else. But it's going to try to have this conversation with me and start there. And you can see here on the right in the preview mode that it's already starting to fill out the GPT. Where it says what it does. It has some ideas of additional questions that I could ask. And you know what? So it just generated a candidate. Of course, I could regenerate that or change it, but I sort of like that. So I will say, that's great. And you see now that the GPT is being built out a little bit more as we go. Now, what I want this to do, how it can interact with users, I could talk about style here. But what I'm going to say is I am going to upload transcripts of some lectures about startups I have given. Please give advice based off of those. All right. So now it's going to go figure out how to do that. And I would like to show you the configure tab. So you can see some of the things that were built out here as we were going by the builder itself. And you can see that there's capabilities here that I can enable. I could add custom actions. These are all fine to leave. I'm going to upload a file. So here is.
I knew this was coming, but watching it is just getting me so excited.
No, my mind is like teachers who've had the solution and know what's needed, but haven't actually been able to convince anyone to build it are just so important.
And very much things founders often ask. I'm going to add one more thing to the instructions here, which is be concise and constructive with feedback.
And yet we talk about, is it ruining language learning skills?
If I had more time, I'd show you about
no.
Yeah.
Let's develop them, right?
Just think what our students could create with this.
I mean, what gets me so excited is what innovative things we're going to think of and be empowered to build them.
Absolutely. If you're watching this and you've got ideas about how this will link in with your teaching practice, please do put them in the chat. We'd love to hear them.
Exactly.
Now it's going to look at that document I uploaded. It'll also have, of course, all of the background knowledge of GPT-4.
And I think this is it.
That's pretty good. Those are 3 things that I definitely have said many times.
Spoke about partnerships.
Now we could go on and it would
so much opportunity here for cross-sector approach to this.
But in the interest of time, I'm going to skip that. I'm going to publish this only to me for now. I can work on it later. I can add more content. I can add a few actions that I think would be useful. And then I can share it publicly. So that's what it looks like to create a GPT. Thank you. By the way, I always wanted to do that after like all of the YC office hours. I always thought, man, someday I will be able to make a bot that will do this, and that'll be awesome. So with GPTs, we're letting people easily share and discover all the fun ways that they use ChatGPT with the world. You can make private GPTs like I just did. Or you can share your creations publicly with a link for anyone to use. Or if you're on ChatGPT Enterprise, you can make GPTs just for your company. And later this month, we're going to launch the GPT store. You can list a GPT. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Look like you have an education tab there. Look at all the people coming through here.
You can list a GPT there, and we'll be able to feature the best and the most popular GPTs. Of course, we'll make sure that GPTs in the store follow our policies before they're accessible. Revenue sharing is important to us. We're going to pay people who build the most useful and the most used GPTs a portion of our revenue.
Oh,
We're
challenge accepted, Dan. Challenge accepted.
Store, just from what we've been building ourselves over the weekend, we're confident there's going to be a lot of great stuff. We're excited to share more information soon. So those are GPTs, and we can't wait to see what you'll build. But this is a developer conference, and the coolest thing about this is that we're bringing the same concept to the API. Many of you have already been building agent-like experiences on the API. For example, Shopify's Sidekick, which lets you take actions on the platform. Discord's Collide lets Discord moderators create custom personalities for. And Snap's My AI, a customized chatbot that can be added to group chats and make recommendations. These experiences are great, but they have been hard to build, sometimes taking months, teams of dozens of engineers. There's a lot to handle to make this custom assistant experience. So today we're making that a lot easier with our new Assistants API. The Assistants API includes persistent threads, so they don't have to figure out how to deal with.
So while he's talking about things for the API, which might not appeal to all of the teachers on this call, because it's for the developers who are creating these tools, my head's buzzing with ways that just like the average teacher in a classroom anywhere in the world now could almost duplicate themselves for when the students are at home, student wants to ask a question.
Yeah.
And not just themselves, but experts. They could create expert tutors, teachers on any subject, any book, I suppose, depending on the copyright there. But my brain's just buzzing now.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about deep resonance with project-based learning, right? Like this is real stuff that you can really build safely, ethically, and effectively with the kids in your classes and watch them iterate. And actually, if it's done well, they can monetize it, which is incredible. Incredible. Like really, because they also know what's needed.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with a school. I think they were in India a couple of years ago, how their kids were making NFTs and were able to kind of fund their education through selling them. Like our students are going to be entrepreneurs in this marketplace as well, of creating their own GPTs. I think it is a bit of a confusing name, calling them GPTs. They could have maybe come up with something a bit more unique just to kind of separate it from ChatGPT and GPT API.
And I think just watching some of the questions, the educators that are on here, right? They're also equally buzzing. And it's about harnessing that and actually collaborating, like building this connected community, because we don't all have to do the same thing. We can iterate and share. And I think, education's always been so insular historically. I work at this school, in this class, within this system, within this curriculum. And I think actually this is where we're starting to see what's so needed is that opening up, right?
100%. Like, could you imagine like a full department of, let's say, English teachers getting together and creating their own almost like extra member of the department that's got all their knowledge, all of their insights, the insights from the curriculum.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I think, and we know there are tools out there that are doing this and working on this, but I think this just kind of democratizes it a bit more for the average ChatGPT user.
And then there's that divide, right? Those that have, those don't have, but now we can actually collaborate. So we can share that wealth of knowledge and experience and breadth and expertise. And actually, if you do have, that's the pay it forward, right? You can gift it to those that don't and inspire opportunity, which I think is so exciting. And not just here, you know, wherever you are in the world, right? Those opportunities abound because there are always going to be, you know, groups and schools and leaders and teachers and parents and students who need this access. And now it's right at our fingertips.
Yeah, 100%. I think we just need the kind of the whole privacy side of it sorted out now, and for us to be able to use it with all students and not just a select few.
That's right.
Oh, sorry. That's my fault. Well, there we go. We're back on.
Exactly.
I don't know
I think
who.
it's amazing that you see also, you know, code.org, understanding
Yeah.
like opening that up and making that curriculum and that expertise in an area that's critical going forward, and B, like in huge, you know, there's huge scarcity amongst that. But equally, Canva, as we said, you know, most educators I speak to don't know it's free for education.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. It's almost like it's almost a bit like we're up with that one step now to that agent that's especially with the Zapier integration as well, where it's connected to all of what we do, and it's kind of, I think we've talked for a while now about AI assistants and how there's a lot of companies working on kind of the hardware side of it. You know, Humane are creating the clip-on lapel assistant and so on. yeah. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go down. Well, in Meta, I've got the Ray-Bans with the visioning and everything they're going to be doing. But I think this is kind of like that next step towards it, isn't it? The fact that if you've got an AI agent or an AI assistant that's connected to all of that you do, it's almost bringing alive the promise that tools like Alexa and the Google Assistant kind of promised 5 years ago. You know, when you thought, oh, it can be connected to my calendar, it can do this, it can do that. Just never really did it because of the technology. Now with this as kind of the mediator, I think it's going to be really exciting. But you're going to need a Zapier account. This is all going to add up as well, cost wise.
That's right. And I think that's why collaborations, right? This connected community, in terms of that sharing, right? In terms of them providing that access, so that you don't have to have multiple groups and schools like reiterating the same thing, right? And I think that's interesting where they talk about, you know, the API marketplace as well, that you don't have to hire, you know, a development company to do it. You'll be able to find a little bit like we do on Unity, right? You can use the Unity store to access and iterate quickly and cheaply and test whether this stuff actually sticks and does what you need it to do in your school. And I think that iterate fast and test and trial, right? We can spend forever building a policy, and then there's a new announcement like this that actually just dumps whatever policy you had in the first place. Now we have to start again, right? Get using it, I think is my message.
Absolutely. And I know I speak to a lot of schools, and I'm sure you do as well, who are kind of looking for that. How do we integrate an AI within our current systems, so it's got access to our current information? And I'm wondering, with them saying that the enterprise side of this isn't going to, they're not going to use the data to train the AI model on. If then you can create these GPTs, these bespoke chatbots to have access through something like Zapier to your drive, to your cloud storage, that's going to bring that possibility alive. I know there's probably some privacy concerns, especially when it's got access to sensitive school data. But we're one step closer to that, I think.
That's right. And I think the and or comes in, right? Like it looks as if you're going to be able to pick and choose what you share, what you don't, and then how it's used and utilized, which I think for schools is really, really important. Specifically, right? Regionally, it changes. Locally, within your own context, it changes, you know, and I think that's actually something that's really exciting to see.
Absolutely. I think this guy's just still showing off it might be the multimodal features in the API.
Yeah.
Should we listen back in and see what he's
Yeah,
saying?
go on.
Oh man, I keep doing that.
It's
I've
never
just got this.
visit technology.
I've just got this new mouse, and I'm like trigger happy with it.
Perfect fit for your app. And on my laptop here on the left, you can see the logs of what's happening behind the scenes too. So I'm using Whisper to convert the voice inputs into text, an assistant with GPT-4 Turbo, and finally the new TTS API to make it speak. But thanks to function calling, things get even more interesting when the assistant can connect to the internet and take real actions for users. So let's do something even more exciting here together. How about this? Hey, assistant, can you randomly select 5 DevDay attendees here and give them $500 in OpenAI credits?
Yes, checking the list of attendees. Done. I picked 5 DevDay attendees and added $500 of API credits to their account. Congrats to Christine M., Jonathan C., Stephen G., Luis K., and Suraj S.
All right, if you recognize yourself, awesome, congrats. And that's it. A quick overview today of the new Assistants API combined with some of the new tools and modalities that we launched. All starting with the simplicity of a rich text or voice conversation for your end users. We really can't wait to see what you build, and congrats to our lucky winners. Actually, you know what? You're all part of this amazing OpenAI community here, so I'm just going to talk to my assistant one last time before I step on the stage. Hey, assistant, can you actually give everyone here in the audience $500 in OpenAI credits?
Sounds great. Let me go through everyone.
All right. That function will keep running, but I've run out of time. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Back to you, Sam. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so that Assistants API goes into beta today, and we are super excited to see what you all do with it. Anybody can enable it. Over time, GPTs and assistants, our precursors to agents, are going to be able to do much, much more. They'll gradually be able to plan and to perform more complex actions on your behalf. As I mentioned before, we really believe in the importance of gradual iterative deployment. We believe it's important for people to start building with and using these agents now to get a feel for what the world is going to be like as they become more capable. And as we've always done, we'll continue to update our systems based off of your feedback. So we're super excited that we got to share all of this with you today. We introduced GPTs, custom versions of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extended knowledge, and actions. We launched the Assistants API to make it easier to build assisted experience.
Do you think he's going to do a Steve Jobs and say one last thing?
I think so.
Agents and will be increasing their capabilities over time. We introduced a new GPT-4 Turbo model that delivers improved function calling, knowledge, lowered pricing, new modalities, and more. And we're deepening our partnership with Microsoft. In closing, I wanted to take a minute to thank the team that creates all of this. OpenAI has got remarkable talent density, but still, it takes a huge amount of hard work and coordination to make all of this happen. I truly believe that I've got the best colleagues in the world. I feel incredibly grateful to get to work with them. We do all of this because we believe that AI is going to be a technological and societal revolution. It will change the world in many ways, and we're happy to get to work on something that will empower all of you to build so much for all of us. We talked about earlier how if you give people better tools, they can change the world. We believe that AI will be about individual empowerment and agency at a scale that we've never seen before, and that will elevate humanity to a scale that we've never seen before either. We'll be able to do more, to create more, and to have more. As intelligence gets integrated everywhere, we will all have superpowers on demand.
We're excited to see what you all will do with this technology and to discover the new future that we're all going to architect together. We hope that you'll come back next year. What we launched today is going to look very quaint relative to what we're busy creating for you now. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for coming here today.
Okay, wow. What time we're on? So it's quarter to 7. That 45 minutes went fast.
Right?
I've been pulling some notes together. Very interesting last thing there. And it's a word that we've heard Greg Brockman, the co-founder of OpenAI, say before about describing where they're going and how today is going to seem very quaint compared to what they're working on. And Sam Altman uses it again there, which is a tease. I'm like, is he just teasing us on purpose there, or have they actually got some amazing tech that they're working on that they're just not ready to release to the world yet? And just as an addition to that, I don't know if you heard Sam Altman on the Joe Rogan podcast, but I think it was Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan asked him why did he release ChatGPT last November, and he said as a warning shot. He released it as a warning shot, and because he didn't want to get a few years down the line, and then when they finally do release something, it just completely blow people's minds because of how advanced it is. He wanted to prepare the world. Very altruistic thing to say and do. You can take that any way you want if that's truly was his intention. But when he says things like this is going to be quaint, Greg Brockman saying that, what do you think? Are they working on something that's going to be world changing?
I think we have what's called controlled release, right? It's shock and awe. And I think the world, we're November, so people forget, like, what were they talking about last November? It wasn't AI, they weren't. It really wasn't until January, where we started to see people saying, hold on, what's this? So I think it's a case of this preparedness, this willingness to embrace an entirely new way of operating, of thinking, of actually recognizing that as we've moved from the Industrial Revolution era, right? Like, humans have been forced to industrialize as humans, right? To become more robotic in our approach because of what has happened. And I was on a really interesting SOT conference yesterday, where we talked just about this, and what it's doing is fundamentally, humans are creative. Humans are not designed to do the robotic, autonomous tasks that we've been asked to do. So is this about freeing us up and opening our ability to go back to our roots, right? As the storytellers, as the creators, as the innovators. And I think that's what makes me so excited. And that's really what I hope for education, is that we can cut through this roboticness that we found ourselves in and really begin to explore the true potential of education, and that I'm really excited for. So,
I agree.
Another shot too, like Google, what are you doing? Apple, what are you doing? And they have to be interesting, but what we don't know yet.
And that's why I think I love that he started with the human side of it, with that montage of clips, because I do think that if this technology works well, then it should unshackle us from technology. It sounds almost counterintuitive, but I think
human.
Yeah, and I think it has that potential, and I think moving towards kind of these, as he described them, as these agents, and he said there at the end, the future. I think he said the future that they're working on, the advanced side of it. These agents are going to be able to plan and act on your behalf. And I think if they're doing that in the digital realm, and I'm sure it'll outspill into the physical realm as well, then I think, and hopefully it's not too utopian to say this. Maybe it is, and maybe we need to drive it towards this. But it's going to allow us to go out and forage in the forest if that's what you're going to do. Play with your kids on the lake, or go out, just have fun, and we're going to. These are going to assist us. These are going to assist us and be able to work on our behalf. Now, sounds good to be true in some respect, but I think we really need to drive this. And I don't think it's just Sam Altman's intent here that matters. I think it's all, especially in education, we've got to parent this. We've got to, I know Kai Vacher over in Oman uses that phrase quite a bit about parenting AI, and I think he's right. I think we need to help move this along in the way that we want it to as educators.
Yeah, put some training wheels on it, right? Give it the stability, give it the structure, give it a frame, allow it to explore, allow it to test, allow it to try, allow it to fail a little bit, you know, but keep it moving forward, you know, because it can't stay the same. You know, the world is not the same. It hasn't been the same for a long time. And actually now it's about harnessing this real opportunity, you know, and it's an exercise I actually have done with myself, but anyone I speak to that's not used AI, like if you were to sit down and just do a day's diary, but then extend it over the week, like write down all of the tasks that you're doing. And when you look at how many of them really are things that need to be done, but they add no value, you know, you start to see how this, and actually it's the same in schools, they have to be done, but who does it need to be done by? And can it be handed over? Right. And I think you start to see how much scope and capacity you have to then bring more things in, you know, which is about connecting, and it's about collaborating and creating, and actually, you know, finding more time for the things that humans are really good at, you know. And I think that's a starting point that I always say when people are thinking about, well, what does this matter to me? Do that exercise.
Yeah, I love it. I was just thinking, you know, so a lot of people compare what we're going through now to the Industrial Revolution. And as you were speaking there, I was thinking, is this the antithesis to the Industrial Revolution? If the Industrial Revolution turned us all into cogs in the machine, in the industrial machine,
the rebellion,
then does this remove us from the machinery of because
it's the machine that's enabling us to rebel, right? Like it's crazy.
Or it's the machine going, yeah, we don't need you guys anymore. We've got it. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool. I love it. I just run through a few of my highlights, and then if you want to do the same, and then we can go have some dinner. Not together because we're on opposite sides of the country.
No, next time. But you know,
sure.
I've thought like the next Disrupted. This is about building the GPTs, right? About building them. So we have actually got empowerment. So we don't just need to talk about it. We can actually bring people together and build it in real time, and then see what happens. You know? Yeah. Anyway.
Or just get all of your speakers for Disrupted. Just get them to create a GPT based on themselves. There we go. He's sorted. So ChatGPT Turbo, very exciting. The amount of data that it's going to remember just makes it that use cases a lot more richer, I think. I think I said it started with the human side. I love that. I'm just excited to see what those entrepreneurs like yourself in this space who are using these tools to better their products for our students and our teachers are going to do with these new modalities and how it's becoming more cost effective. I'm just excited to see what, and I know some of the guys are on this call as well. There's Alex as well, who creates these tools for teachers. Exciting to see what those guys are going to do next. And the GPTs, I don't like the name. I think it's confusing. But just because it's just like what you're referring to. Is it ChatGPT, the ChatGPT API? Is it what's a GPT? But I think I love the fact that you can code them with your voice. I think that's just going to make the entry, the barrier to entry just so low, and pretty much anybody can have a play around with these, share them, the marketplace. I thought it was interesting how he said for those, it's not going to be relevant for teachers, but how he said for those who are building their tools with GPT, if they face any legal challenges, OpenAI would cover that for them. That was really, that's how do I say this without being crude? That's some big cojones there to say, you know what, we're gonna support you.
Deal with it. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's really, so that's mine. What about yourself, Melissa?
Yeah, I think it's the ability to assimilate lots and lots of different pieces of information, right? The sheer size of it. And I think that if we think about, you know, just that annual task for school leaders, like going through all the policies or trying to make sense of government documentation, and it's really difficult because that's not what we were trained to do, right? So, and I think that's also being more accurate over time, right? So we can stop this hallucination that can come in if you're not checking it. So that was really interesting. The inclusivity, right? Like how we can continue to use these tools to develop and enhance language learning, through voice assistants. And actually, you can use neural language now. You don't have to be a developer, because I sometimes hear that. Yeah, but I don't code, or I'm non-technical. And actually, you can get rid of the but, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just becomes an and we've got a tool that can help you with that. So I think that's really great. The focus, as you said at the beginning, about that human story, right? The human connection, actually how we're enabling the use of machines to actually allow us to be more human and find that ground with our fellow, fellow humans that we share this globe with. I think that's a really special purpose. And obviously then some of the things that are coming through in terms of, code.org using it and how we can develop curriculum. Again, these sparks that I'm having, you're having, and I can see the feeds coming through on the multiple devices about what all of us in our different parts of this incredible cog, we're really starting to push that wheel forward. And it's got a lot of momentum, I think, which is great. And then, as you say, right, this is not about school leaders and governments having to decide. It's that up the revolution from the bottom. It's about teachers now thinking, actually, do you know what? I know what's going to solve this for me. And actually, I now have the tools that I can use to make it happen. And I can bring that into the class and inspire the next generation of innovators and creators. Because I maintain this, I see it all the time. If we just make time for the exploration of what's possible, you don't even have to have the answers, but you find that incredible things begin to happen in your schools, in your classroom, and actually what the kids are able to come up with, and then be able to find this newfound monetization route, right? Like if it's a solution for you and your class and your kids and your families, and it helps raise the bar with quality outcomes and standards and improves your life as an educator in the classroom, so you get that balance, it's going to be relevant for similar people all around the world. And to be able to share that, I think, is so great. So that community partnership, working together. And I think that was interesting, that was shared today on the stage.
100%. You remind me, I was last week I was at the Leo Academies Trust Conference at Epsom Downs Racecourse, and I was sat next to a teacher. After my talk, I sat down, and the next speaker was put the question to the audience of, what's your biggest hope for AI? And this teacher turned to me and just simply said, accessible education for all. And I think it kind of sums this up. And I think a lot of people who are scared of it, a lot of people who are apprehensive for all different types of reasons, I think we've got to put that accessibility for all at the top, at the forefront of this. And if it changes education, it changes education. But if it makes it more accessible to more people, then we've done a good job, I think.
That's right. And it's in our own communities. It's here in the UK or in your region, wherever you are, and then it's globally. 268 million kids are in areas that are highly affected and need access, And I just think like that, let that be the why. Let that be the inspiration for how we explore the potential and possibilities here and make mistakes. As he said, right? Iterate, get it out, try, see what happens.
Absolutely.
And it's exciting. And I think the biggest thing here is this community that's coming together, has been, but now I start to see it on scale. And you travel the world, so I'm sure you experience it wherever you go. And I think that's something that's really incredible about what this sector is coming together to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's leave it there. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me. It was nice to be able to watch it.
It's always my pleasure.
It's a bit like, I felt like we were on Gogglebox at one point. If you're not in the UK, that reference is going to go right over your head.
Our new series, actually, Dan. Our new series. This is it.
No, thank you so much. And Melissa, anyone wants to follow more about what you're doing, please do let them know.
Yeah, amazing. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Obviously, spend most of my time there. But also too, we have an incredible advantage being able to be mavericks in the field and push the agenda in terms of what's possible. So reach out to myself or my team at any time if we can help you in the classroom and share some of the magic that we create ourselves. So
I think you should share the recent news you got, because I think it's
Oh
huge
yeah,
news.
absolutely. So, a very big, I think a very big new mandate here in the UK that Sophia High was just the first UK online school to be accredited, or provider, actually wholesale, to be accredited by the Department for Education. So it's a true testament to the amazing job the team at the school do and the families. It's our laboratory. We're able to really iterate some fantastic stuff and actually celebrate these amazing successes that the impact on young people, teachers, and other parties that we work with, I think is incredible. So it's a big shift, I think, and we're just delighted that we were the first, and to support those that will come after us, as I say. So yeah, no, thanks for the shout out.
No, leading the way. It's amazing news. And I'm Dan Fitzpatrick. You can check out my work at the AI Educator.io and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get alerted next time we do this. It's the second time we've done it, so we'll do it with big events going forward. Thank you for joining us. If you're in the UK, have a good night. If you're anywhere east of us, it is the night. If you're in America, have a good afternoon, have a good day, and thank you so much for joining us.
See you later.